If you're new, if this is the first time you're joining us, we are Singapore Data Platform User Group for. You can find us on Facebook on the link on your screen. Here are the social media channels where you can find us. We post our events on Meetup together with all the other Singapore technical communities. You can join, you can subscribe, you can join the group at Meetup so that you'll know whenever we have any new technical sessions here in Singapore. We also started uploading the sessions on YouTube, so you can consume it later, or if you want to go back and check out the sessions, you can find it on YouTube. We also have a community tenant on Teams. If you want to be part of the tenant, you can scan the QR code and we will add you in. From there, you can chat with the other members. You can see the files that we have. For example, if there's the presentation files, you can find it there. And also, there's a bigger community for the data platform on Asia. The Asia Pacific Data Community Group in Meetup. That's the collection of local user groups in APAC. If you want to join us, if you want to see what the other local user groups are doing on the other countries, if you want to connect with them, you can join the Meetup group. We organize quarterly events for the community. This weekend, starting tomorrow, the AMS Southeast Asia 2021 is happening. So if you wanna, it's about Azure and Microsoft 365, Office 365. So it's free. It's a free 3-day summit. You can register on the link on your screen. There's gonna be a lot of sessions. I think the last count, I forgot how many, 500 or 200 attendees.
650.
Yeah, 650 there. 650 attendees. So there's gonna be a lot of different sessions, and you'll probably find something that that would be of interest for you. And this one is hot off the grill. One of the MVPs started up a landing page for the ASEAN cloud community. If you want to find out what community are out there for what technology, you can go to this link and you can find the different communities that we have in Asia Pacific. You can also find the list of experts that you can reach out to. If you want to be a speaker, there's a section there that you can submit your session. If you want to find out who you can reach out to, there's what community is out there, you can find it there. So if you have time, if you want to find out more about the communities, the technical communities in Asia, you can go there.
Pio, maybe you can send the link as well in that one.
Yeah,
so that the people can register as well there.
Yeah, sure. I'll put the link on
in the chat window. Yeah. Thank you.
A few reminders before we start our session. Keep yourself on mute. If you have any questions, you can use the raise hand icon or put it in the chat. Later on, there's an evaluation form if you want to evaluate the session. If you want to give some feedback on how we can improve the events that we have every month, or if you have any questions that you want to relate to the speakers, you can course it through the evaluation form. And last but not the least, this session is being recorded. And with that, I would like to introduce our speaker for tonight, Nagaraj Venkatesan. Most of you probably know him already. He's one of our community leaders before he joined Microsoft as a senior customer engineer for data and AI. Tonight he's going to be talking about he'll give us an overview on Power BI Premium Gen 2. Nagaraj, welcome to the session.
Yeah, thank you, Pio. Thanks a lot, team. So always a pleasure to be talking to Singapore user group. So just before I start, Pio, probably is my voice clear? Are you hearing any background noise or anything? Just wanted
No,
to.
very clear. You're coming in
Okay,
very clear.
okay, fine. So let's get started. So let me just share my screen. So here you.
Nagaraj, one thing before you start, is he able to share your screen? I mean, share your slide deck towards the end
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that we
sure,
can.
sure,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
absolutely. Sure. Okay, okay, great. So as I said, as Pio introduced, so I I'm from the community first, more than anything else. So I started off speaking in SQL Server user group in, I think, in 2015, and then user group lead, MVP, and then joining Microsoft. So it was a gradual thing, but always the heart always stays with the community. So wonderful to be speaking to you all. Thanks again, Pio and Aro and Asif, for giving me the opportunity to talk to the team. Okay, so today's session, what we are going to see is Power BI, or about Power BI Gen 2. So first up, this session I understand is is remote, but feel free to interrupt me. Pio mentioned you can raise your hand. It's all right. You can unmute yourself and feel free to just ask any question. I'm more than happy to take questions at any point in time during the session. So so Power BI Premium Gen 2. So first up, before we get into Gen 2, I just want to start off with a very little introduction about uh, Power BI Premium itself. So Power BI Premium, what is it in first place? So you have in Power BI, you have three classes of licenses. One is Power BI Free, meaning you can work with your Power BI desktop, you can build reports, you can publish it into your own workspace in powerbi.com, but you cannot share it with anyone. So that is there for you free of cost. So then you have Power BI Pro, where you you have the license to create workspaces in powerbi.com, publish your reports, and share it with others as well. You can add members to that workspace. They can read and they can also publish. So anyone who needs to read or write, meaning prepare reports or publish reports and read those reports, you need a pro license. So this is the second class. So that comes with $10 license per month, or it is by default included if your organization has E5 licensing, Power BI, Office 365 E5 licensing. If they have it, then they get at Power BI Pro license. Then the next one that you have is called something called Power BI Premium. Premium comes with that feature where where you can you get dedicated compute, and you get certain amount of RAM and memory reserved for your tenant or for your organization. So when you purchase premium, you get that. For example, you have multiple SKUs or multiple levels within premium. Let's say you purchase P1, P2. If you purchase P1, you get 8 cores and 25 GB of memory. So that's what all your reports will be leveraging that capacity that has been provided to you. Whereas in Pro, it is anyone who can go ahead and use that. You don't have dedicated capacity. It is a shared capacity. Anybody can go on, and the server that is being behind the scene being used could be used for some other tenant as well, or some other customer as well. So it is a fully shared model, and you have limitations in terms of your data model size. Your data model size can go only up to 1 GB in Pro, whereas in Premium, depending upon which SKU or which category you belong to, into the model size can be higher. For P1, it's 25 GB, P2 is 50 GB, and so on. So this is the way it has been all along, ever since the product has been launched. 2 weeks ago, uh, I think, yes, at the starting of on October 1st, Power BI Premium Generation 2, there is a new class of engine called Generation 2, which became generally available. It was in preview for a few months. Now it is generally available. Before I proceed talking about Power BI Premium Gen 2, I just want a show of hands. If you have already heard of Power BI Premium Gen 2, just used in Teams, use the hand symbol if you are already familiar with Gen 2, heard of Gen 2 before. Okay, RO is aware. Feel free. I'm not going to question you. I'm not going to shoot. Oh, let me ask you a question. No, I'm not going to do that, so that I know the pace at which I need to proceed with this session. So that's the idea behind asking this. Okay, next question is already familiar with Power BI Premium before 5 minutes. Okay. He is asking a question. I have a pro license publish report. Can my team view those reports? No, they need pro license to Kamal. So yeah. Kamal just asked a question with pro license. With a free license, can somebody read reports? You need pro license for both reading and writing. It slightly gets complicated in premium. I will explain that shortly. Okay, so my initial question was, have you heard of Power BI Premium before? I understand no, so I will keep it very, very simple and basic so that the team can follow. Kamal, feel free to open the mic and ask me. I'm more than happy to. Don't struggle hard to type. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Nagaraj. Lovely to see you on screen today.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like currently people use, we have a different solutions in place, SSRS and Splunks and things. So which one-time investment was done. Now we are moving towards to Power BI. So then if we have quite a lot of users and audience to view those reports in procurement, finance, sales, that means then every single person, we need to have at least pro license or part of E5 license.
Yep. So one option, let's talk about a few options. Probably we will, yes, for 300 people, your question is whether if we license everyone with a pro license, it becomes expensive. So 300 multiplied by 10, $3,000 is what you may need to spend. How can we? Is there any other option? There is another option which is not cheaper than that, slightly expensive, but I have seen a lot more value out of it. I will get into that little shortly. Okay. So now with premium, so how it works is, so as I said, you get a dedicated capacity. So once you purchase that capacity, you can set this particular workspace inside Power BI Premium. Inside Power BI is assigned to premium capacity. You can say that this is assigned to premium capacity. Once it has been assigned, what happens in premium is the readers get they do not need pro license. Only the publishers need pro license in Power BI Premium. So if I purchase Power BI Premium, one perk I get is I need not purchase licenses for my consumers or for my readers. So that is one advantage. But Power BI Premium starts at P1 capacity starts at $5,000. So that's kind of if you see compare for 300 users, is that cheaper? No, but you also get lots and lots of additional features when it comes to Power BI Premium. So you get a bigger storage size. You get a much bigger storage size. Total storage it can go up to 100 TB. Ignore the Power BI a premium per user. Focus on capacity for the time being. And you could refresh your data set lot more amount of times, meaning you can refresh it up to 48 times a day compared to just 8 in Pro. You have AI capabilities. Your model size can go up to your capacities maximum, meaning if I have purchased P1, I'll talk about it slightly at a greater detail shortly. So and then you have lots and lots of other features as well, AI capabilities and data flows and so on. So premium is pretty good and effective if you have a few hundred users. Usually I would see 300 users or around that number. If you have readers and writers put together, premium would make commercial sense because of the, not just because of the price point, also because of the additional capabilities that you get. Okay, now next important thing is with regards to the data model size. So over here we did see that there is a big difference in terms of the model size when it comes to Power BI Pro and Power BI Premium. So what is it? The biggest difference is your dataset size can be only 1 GB in Power BI Pro. The dataset that I'm using for my report, the max size it can go is only 1 GB. Whereas in Premium, depending upon what I have purchased, if I have purchased is let's say P1, it can be up to 25 GB. All the data sets that I'm using at a point in time, my total memory capacity is 25 GB for P1. For P2, it's 50 GB. For P3, it's 100. P4, 200, and so on. So I think one of them will be 150, 200, and then finally P5 is 400 GB. So depending upon what SKU I'm in, I have a bigger memory, but that memory is for all the data models that are currently being used. For example, it is just similar to your SQL Server RAM, right? Meaning all the data sets that are sitting inside the memory, its total capacity is limited by which level you are in Premium. So this has been the way earlier. Any questions before I proceed?
Just one quick question. If I have a premium per user license to myself and I create the premium per user workspace, can people with the pro license be able to see the content in there?
Okay. Quick answer, no. But another point, I didn't ask you to focus on premium per user. We'll talk about it shortly. Okay. Sure. No, but to answer your question, no. So okay.
Right. Okay. So we can't utilize this deployment pipeline facilities if I have a per user in the premium one.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Hold it. Yeah. Okay. So what changes with Power BI? Okay, let's instead of, so this is, we understand model size limitations and the refresh rate and few other restrictions. Let's talk about premium per user now. So like Kamal, there were a few organizations who are saying, you know what, but we really love Power BI Premium. It gives me AI capabilities. It gives me deployment pipelines. But what you have done is you have Power BI Pro at $10 and then Premium is at $5,000. And some of these organizations who want to strike that middle ground, we do not have any sort of SKU or any sort of additional any level where we could leverage some of those advanced capabilities for a few reports alone, for a selective bunch of reports. and and we we don't want to buy premium because it is too expensive and we don't have a use case for it. Let's say 10 of my reports need a data set size of uh, of 20 GB. 1 GB is simply not enough for me. I need my data set to go up to like 15 GB or 20 GB. And there are like that I have about 4 reports or 5 reports and so on. In that case, you can use premium per user. How it works is premium per user allows you to assign something like premium license for a particular user. Once you assign, and in what happens is, and then you need to mark a workspace as premium per user workspace. Once you mark that workspace as premium per user, only users with premium per user license can access those reports. Not even pro license can access. So those reports which enjoy the premium features can be accessed by people with PPU license. What is the cost it comes at? It comes at $20 per user, or $10 additional if you already have M365 plus E5. So if you see, if my workspace is at premium per user, can pro access it? No. Can no free user access it? No. Premium per capacity free user access it? They cannot access. Only PPU user can access it. Premium per user has all the permissions of a pro user plus some additional capabilities. So premium per user will be able to access whether pros reports, that's premium capacity reports, because by default it also has pro license plus additional capabilities. So that is premium per user, which sits in the middle ground, somewhere in between. Clear? Okay. I take the silence as all good. Okay, fine. So now in Gen 2, there was a significant change that was being done. So what was that change? So in Gen 2, what happened was, in Power BI Premium earlier, you had a limitation of certain memory limit, depending upon which SKU you purchase. That applied for whatever data models that are there in the memory. Meaning, if there are like 6 reports that are active, and each one size is about 3 GB, then 3 5s are 15 GB is the total usage I have. And if there are another 10 reports which come in, then I will not be able to use them, because the total would go over 25 GB. And if I'm on P1, right? So that is the total I can go up to. in Gen 2, the biggest difference is that limitation is removed and it is changed as the maximum size is not a cumulative. The limit is not for the cumulative size of all the models, but it is for per model. Meaning a single data model can go up to 25 GB if I'm on P1 and so on. I'm switching, going back and forth in these slides to simplify some of these things. So if you look at it over here, in P1 you have 25 GB in Gen 1. It is the same in Gen 2, but the most important word is it is per artifact. Meaning here if I have all the reports put together, it's 25 GB. But whereas over here, for a single data model, I get 25 GB of memory. Another data model, if I come in, as long as it is below the 25 GB, that can also run. Third data model can also run, and so on. So, which makes it very, 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 very powerful compared to your earlier generation of Power BI Premium. Yeah. Any questions, team? Okay. So let me go through some of these things. So what are the things that you get out of Power BI Premium? So one thing is memory, which I just now spoke about. Second thing is performance boost, meaning behind the scenes, you have lot more powerful engines that are running. It is not what we say is a customer who was in premium P1. When he moves to Gen 2, his performance or the speed at which it will be running, the reports will be running, will be on par with older P3. So the hardware and the machines that are running are much more powerful on par with previous P3 generation. So in that sense, you would get by default when you move, you will get significant performance gain. Memory, as I said, the capacity is per artifact, per report, and not cumulative limits. In generation 1, what you need to do is in Power BI Premium, you have the ability to run different workloads. Like you can run AI related workloads, making calls to cognitive services. You can run XMLA endpoints, talking directly to the data models, like an analysis service database. You can run paginated reports. So in generation 1, you had to set memory limitations for each of these. 10% of my total memory is reserved for XML endpoints. For AI, this is the limit, etc. This is the max limit and so on. Now, in Gen 2, everything is taken care by the system. All of these workloads do not run on same machines. They run on different machines. Your background refresh will run on different machine. Your reports run on different machine. AI related workloads run on different machines behind the scenes so that they don't compete with each other, and you need not go and allocate resources through Power BI admin portal. Everything is taken care for you, which is again much cleaner and easier. Reduced overhead in terms of, okay, one major advantage is the monitoring is much improved in Power BI Gen 2. So in terms of which reports are consuming how much of memory and how much of CPU, how much of it is background operation and how much of it is interactive operation. There are two kinds of operations, by the way. One is called where things like whatever that happens, like refresh, for example, data refresh and so on. Those are called background operations. Whatever that happens through a user request when you go and interact with it. Those are interactive requests or front end operations. So you get that level of detail. Even more importantly, what you also get is you have uh, something called automatic scaling, where when the capacity actually hits certain limit, it can automatically scale as well. Just excuse me for 1 second. some of the challenges of doing a session after like 7 o'clock is you can have some little visitors at times. So yeah. Okay. So you have a capability in Power BI Premium Gen 2, something called automatic scaling. So how it works is, before I talk how it works, what I would like to share is the limitations that are there. So while the memory limit is for a particular artifact in Gen 2, you still have CPU limits. So the total number of reports that are running, how much of CPU time they can consume is limited. So when that hits a limit, you have something called auto scale, which can automatically add additional core to your Power BI tenant, and it will be built to your Azure subscription. So it can scale automatically, and it will be there for 1 day. After 1 day, if you don't use it, it'll go away. So it gets added, it stays for a day, and then if it's not being used, then it can be released. So you have auto scale capability as well in Gen 2. Any questions? Let's do a little demo of what I'm going to do now. Is I'm going to run some workload in Gen 1 and in Gen 2 to see how it actually behaves. Yeah, any questions? So the key takeaway out of Gen 2 is model limits, data model size, which is at per data model level. Second is it is much faster. Third is automatic scaling. So these are the things that we have covered so far. Okay. I'm going to create a workspace called Gen 1. To make it use Gen 1, what I'm going to do is go to settings and say, if I just put it in Pro, so the Gen 2 is available in Power BI Premium per user and per capacity. So I'm going to put it in, says others can't access. That's okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run some workload. So either you can run a report or you can run something called data flows. I don't know if you have used data flows. So data flow is in some sense like Power BI desktop in the browser. So let and in the interest of time, I had created one data flow, which I usually use for testing. So I'll show what it is. Anyone tried data flows out here? So I hope the screen kind of looks familiar, similar to your Power BI desktop. So yeah, so basically I'm pulling some tables from a few databases. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to refresh this particular data flow. This is in Gen 1. I'm going to refresh it and I'm going to do something similar to this or exactly same thing in Gen 2 as well. Let me go ahead and create. Later we can come back and check its timing. So let me add a data flow in Gen 2. Over here, you see this a little diamond. It means Power BI premium content. So Power BI premium per user content. I'll show how you can verify that. Power BI premium per user by default uses Gen 2. So just to show that it does the same thing. So these are the same. Anyways, I imported the same JSON file. Okay, so if I hit the settings over here, you can see that this is a premium per user per workspace. Now let me refresh this one. So this particular view lineage, if I say, this data flow is talking to a SQL Server database, and then it is pulling some data. Okay, this is done. How long did it take? Took about 10 seconds to finish. Now let me go to the Gen 1 and see if it has completed. It took about 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So no change, no optimization, nothing done, and you can see the significant difference. There are customers who typically get it even 16 times faster performance. Even ours is almost like 10 to 12 times faster performance, right? So moving to Gen 2 gives you that immediate advantage. And then what are the other advantages? In Gen 1, you had limitations in terms of how many data models you can refresh at a particular time. Meaning you can't refresh more than 6 data models in P1. So you cannot parallelly. So administrators, what they need to do is when they schedule data refresh, they need to see at this time, is there any other refresh that is happening? They have to space it out. Now in Gen 2, you don't need to do that. You can schedule any number of ones you want. As long as the CPU does not hit 100%, it will still run. So that is another huge advantage when it comes to Gen 2. Any questions? So the benefits that we have seen is data model size increase. You have faster speed capacity, which we saw. You're not restricted by how many models that you can refresh at a time, and so on. Okay. How it gets evaluated? Probably that may be a little heavy for this particular session. I will share the slides. You feel free to go through them, and if you let me know if you have any questions. Hence, I will just move ahead to a few important other stuff. So I spoke about automatic scaling, right? So one of the key things is, let's right slide for auto scale. Yeah, this would be helpful. Okay, so when it comes to, I spoke about automatic scaling. When it comes to automatic scaling, what happens is, for example, I have got P1 capacity, which comes with let's say 8 cores. So what happens over here is which means if it comes with 8 cores, so you get certain amount of CPU time. In this particular case, you get the total number of the cores that you get are split into backend cores and 4 front-end cores. So the formula of your capacity is number of backend cores multiplied by 30. So for P1, you get up to like 4 backend cores, which means you get 120 seconds of CPU time for a single minute. So if you exceed 120 seconds, then it is categorized as you have used 100% of your capacity in the last 30 seconds. So over here, let's say first query comes, it runs, it is running. Second query comes, it is running. Third query comes, it is running. And then fourth query comes. When it runs, it goes and hits the capacity, meaning it is using 100%. Now, when the fifth query comes in, what happens is it will still be allowed to run, even though it is currently close to hitting the 100%. It will still be allowed to run. How the evaluation works is it will take into account only completed processes. So whatever the completed processes that are there, the last 30 seconds, have they totally used 100% of the capacity? So that is the evaluation. So when they do that, so the fifth query is still allowed to run because the fourth query hasn't completed yet, right? Even though it is actually technically it is touching 100%, but still the fifth query will be allowed to run. When the fifth query actually finishes, anytime after the fourth query has finished, the system would know that it has reached 100%. And whatever that's running, they won't be cancelled. They will still run. Whatever the new ones that come, they will be asked to wait. If you have auto scaling enabled, what happens is the new core will be added, and then these queries will be able to run. So when the new core is added, automatically your capacity actually increases. You have a bigger CPU. These queries will be able to run, and so on. If auto scaling is not enabled, then what will happen is these queries will be throttled. meaning they will be waiting for 20 seconds, and then again it will check if the query is, if the utilization has come down. If not, again it will wait for 20 seconds and so on. So it keeps waiting till the utilization has actually dropped. So this is the way auto scaling works. You can set a upper limit up to maximum of how many cores you can go ahead, meaning up to a maximum of 10 cores, for example. You can set a upper limit. Beyond that, do not auto scale. You can always do that too. So a specific artifact. So what happens is you think it is never a single artifact can cause, it's never a single report that will cause a auto scale. It is always more than one report or more than one operation that actually causes a auto scale. For monitoring, you have a new app inside Power BI called Power BI Gen 2 app, which is capable of giving you some lot more richer insights into who is consuming what and so on. Any questions, team? One thing I'm conscious of is not to overload with anything that may confuse you. So just would like to pause over here and would like to check with the team if you have any questions. And I'm more than happy to take them.
Nagaraj, towards the end, you gave some scenarios that what Kamal mentioned, right? If you have 300 users, so you gave some scenarios, will be really grateful. Actually, it's for me also because I have so many customers about Power BI, Premium, Gen 1, Gen 2. So if you give some scenarios, I mean, just like from your
Okay.
experience, will be good for us.
Okay. So in terms of how you could take the licensing is, as I said, now let's go back to what Kamal was actually asking. Like, let's say I have 300 users and I need to license. One option is you can use Power BI Pro for all these users and get them to unlicense them. Or it could be logical to get one premium Power BI premium capacity, which would mean I get lots and lots of additional features. So what are the things, additional things? I can refresh my data set a lot more. I have a bigger capacity. In basic P1 itself, I get 25 GB of capacity. So I can distribute reports for my entire organization, meaning because everyone can be a free user, and whoever needs to write alone, they need a Power BI Pro license. So I could do that as well. AI features, out of the box, I can integrate artificial intelligence features like things like doing sentiment analysis and so on, and and smart narratives and so on. Just excuse me 1 minute. Sorry, my role demands a lot of talking, so yeah, sometimes my throat by the end of the day it gives away. So deployment pipelines is a very interesting feature where you can actually create something like dev, UAT and production in Power BI, meaning you can build a pipeline which could automatically take the reports and data sets out of a workspace and create dev and staging and production. So you could build pipelines to do your deployments. So that is a damn good feature. So when you have a few hundred users, I would strongly encourage people to take premium capacity. Other scenario is I don't have few hundred users. All I have is only less than 100 users or 50 to 100 users. But I have a few reports which are really big. 1 GB of size does not work. So in that case, you may want to have Power BI premium per user license for selected bunch of users for them to make use of that report, right? So that is another scenario where premium per user works well. Another cases is you may have a premium capacity as production. All your most important reports go into premium capacity. Okay, but I don't want any random person and anyone in my organization, all my development work to be making use of my premium capacity. I don't want that to happen because the data model sizes or my CPU, at least in Gen 2, you don't have data model size is not so much of a problem. Whereas the CPU limitations still exist. So I want to protect my development reports from impacting my premium capacity reports. Then you can go for premium per user. Developers get premium per user. So which means they get to test with all the premium features, but they don't disturb premium capacity. And it isn't expensive. And then once the report is ready, you could move them into premium. So that is another approach that one can take. Okay, so yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so Nagaraj, one thing, right? So it could be a scenario that, again, example of Kamal, he mentioned about 300 users. So is it possible? I mean, it's just for to get a scenario perspective. Now, if we have one user using the premium capacity and 10 user using per user capacity.
Okay.
Right. We have 20 users using the shared capacity, maybe remaining users which are from 300. So if I want to share my report, do I need a premium capacity to publish? If I'm a pro user, I want to publish my report. So do I need a premium license as well?
No. Premium is for capacity, right? So if I'm a pro user, I have the ability to publish it whether. Okay, for example, let's go over here. So when I purchase premium and then I assign it over here. So if I have premium capacity, it will appear over here. Okay, so I assign it that capacity. You think of it as certain virtual machines, even though it doesn't. But think of it as you have purchased a few machines behind the scene, and you are assigning it for whatever reports that are going to run over here. So you assign it to this workspace, and as long as your person has Power BI Pro license, they will be able to publish it over here or in a normal workspace as well. If you have Pro, you will be able to publish it. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Second thing is, most important thing is, if I am having this report on premium, my readers don't need Power BI Pro license. That is the important thing that you need to remember, or that is the advantage that you can leverage it. So I create this workspace, set it to premium, and then I can share it with everyone in the organization. I need not get Pro licenses for them. So that is the huge advantage. Another area where it can be useful is when you are sharing with external users, right? So if you are sharing with external users, is they will be, so when you are sharing your workspace or an app or a report, what happens is an invitation goes for them to be added as a guest user inside your Azure AD, and then they will be able to access the reports. So by default that happens. So when you share it, they will get a email invitation. When they click and accept and so on, they get added onto your AD, and then they will be able to access the report. But what we need to remember is, if you are on pro license, either you need to assign that external user your pro license, or they should already have pro license in their organization. Either of these two should be true for them to access, which becomes, especially if you have customers, external customers, you cannot force them to buy pro licenses. So in that case, it makes sense to have premium per capacity license for them to access the reports. Then they need not have pro license to read the reports. Another option is using embedded, but that's more for embedding that particular report inside your app and using something like a service principal, so that they need not have any kind of license to access the report. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to recap something. This is very important. So if the user, the license mode, the option 3 we're talking about premium per capacity. So
Yep.
I have a customer, maybe from my from a ABC customer, and I'm sharing my report to, and that customer maybe is the XYZ. He doesn't have the pro license, but he can still use that the option premium per capacity.
Yeah,
He
you should have assigned it over here. This is my, let's say, this Gen 1 workspace is the one that I want to share. So if I have assigned it to premium per capacity, assume that I'm placing it over here. Then I go and I share this with my external user. Okay, so I go and I share this with my external user. Then they need not have any kind of license. They will be able to automatically.
Oh,
Go ahead
okay.
and
That
use it.
is something which is like I got confused. Thanks, sir. And one more thing I would like to ask you: can you open your slide? You have a different comparison. So if you see the pro number 3 mentioned about the pro capacity, maximum imported data set 1 GB. Now this is a 1 GB is a pooled, or is per user? Is it, for example,
Okay.
300 user? Is it pooled?
No. Okay. It is per data set. So a single data set, this particular, or let me open up something else. Any other? Okay. So for example, this particular data set size is what it is talking about. This data set size can be a maximum of 1 GB. If we go back to the slide over here, a single workspace size is, so per user, you get 10 GB of storage, meaning the artifacts that I have, let's say in my tenant, I have about 100 pro users. Then I get, per user, they get 10 GB of storage, meaning they can store reports or whatever up to 10 GB. For example, I can see whatever that's there in this particular workspace is not consuming anything. My data model size is just 1 MB and so on. So the total storage size in pro, per pro license, you get up to like 10 GB. Data model size is 1 GB. So
Okay. Understand. Yeah, I was a bit confused about the two different metrics. How they actually relate in the real life.
yep, no problem. And when you go to premium capacity, you get 100 terabytes for the entire tenant. It is not by user, or in pro, If I have 50 users, you get 500 GB and so on. But whereas in premium, you get 100 terabytes of storage. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
usually customers don't hit the storage limit. It is usually the data model size that becomes a problem. Now it is less of a problem. I'll tell you a few real world scenarios. So removing the model size limit is good and a bad thing. Reason is, now with the relaxed limit, there are so many junk data models that are getting published. You have bloated data models because developers are not too concerned about making good data models, and you have slower reports. So it is both a good and a bad thing in some sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is something very crucial because you have a lot of data which is not used at all, and you're paying for that for no reason.
Yep. Yeah. And when you probably one another session, maybe as a follow-up, I may wish to do is Power BI tuning, meaning open up a report and how to tune a Power BI report. So that's something I can cover.
Yeah. I mean, this is very crucial because we have a lot of customers. They have a lot of data, and then having they have the data size is around 700 MB, right? So it's very difficult to fine tune and which model, which particular thing to optimize. It's very difficult to understand because we do have no clarity what they have done so far. So that particular session would be really good if you can.
Yeah, sure. Okay, with this I would like to end. The slide is a lot more detailed, but I did not want to go through each of these simply because it is little. If you haven't heard Premium or Gen 2, it's can get little hard to follow. So I wanted to convey few stuff very, very clearly. So that's the reason I was focusing on selective items. Feel free to let me know on the feedback or even right now. As a follow-up session, I can go into greater detail of whatever that's of interest to the team. Or if you have any questions specific to the slide, whatever content that's there are, the slide actually talks about things like how the CPU usage is calculated, the formula it uses, and so on. It goes into those details which can be little hard to follow. So I'm more than happy to take them up if you are interested in it. Yeah. Anything else? Any other question, team?
Guys, anybody have any doubt? I mean, this is Nagaraj is like an expert in data. If anything you want to ask, you can just ask now. You just value the time. It's really good. So I asked some questions, but I need some audience to ask some questions if you have any clarity on that.
Yep. So even if you have any question that's slightly related to this or anything around Power BI or data, feel free to let me know, or you can also let Theo and Aro and the team know around whatever any topic of interest on data. I'm more than happy to take it up and deliver session or talk through them.
Yeah, one curious question is how easy it is to move between Gen 1 and Gen 2?
Very good. Fairly easy, meaning so that's a good question, Pio. So if you go to your tenant and you can, for that particular capacity that you have purchased, you can, in a click of a button, you'll be able to switch to Gen 1. You can go back and forth. How long you may be able to do that may be a question. Till Gen 1 is still supported and so on. Once it moves away, you will not be able to do it. But at least I would probably think at least for a few months. Yeah. But it's fairly easy from the admin portal.
All right, that's good to know, because I think you've shown you've shown the difference between between Gen 1 and Gen 2, and there's a lot of improvements. So I believe some of our attendees would be curious how they would move their existing environment, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay. Fine. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Again, thanks a lot, team, for
Yeah.
time and the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Nagaraj.
Good.
If you for the attendees, the evaluation link is on the chat. So if you want to send additional questions, you can use that. And like Nagaraj said, you can always reach out to him or to any of the organizers. With that, thank you very much for spending your evening with us again tonight. And we'll just have Nagaraj back for some more sessions about Power BI and whatever anything under data platform.
Yep.
Thank you, Nagaraj. It's something what I asked is from my customers. It's not from me, but I think it's a very good understanding that how thing works in the Gen 2, and publishing from Pro and these things. So at least I get an idea that I can share it with my customers as well. Thank you so much. It's really useful.
Thanks, Aro. Thanks a lot.
And if you're able to share the slides, will be really good. For at least I can share with my team as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll just share it right away. Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Cheers.